What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Balian, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about my Knicks because after that game against the Celtics, I realized that this team has some glaring issues, both with how they're built and their mental spirit, because a couple bad calls completely knocked this team off their games. I'll also address the Giannis Antetokounmpo rumors later in the episode. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Got the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode and starting right with what I talked about in the open, how the Knicks were completely knocked off their game by a couple calls that the refs made. Listen, this is the NBA. The game is moving at such a fast pace. The refs aren't going to make every call. There were a couple times where Karl Anthony Towns had the slightest bit of contact and he was going insane on the officials. It got so bad that he got a warning for a technical foul. Like, come on, grow up. And it's every game with this nonsense. Karl Anthony Towns is a huge culprit, but Jalen Brunson is not going to get let off easy on this one. He does it a ton too, and I get it. Everyone is doing it, but it's just so annoying. It's bad enough when they're just talking to the officials, when it completely messes you up and it's changing the outcome of a basketball game. It's bad, and it's on the players. I'm not trying to blame this on the refs. Although they did have their fair share of questionable calls, the Knicks have to stay locked in. It's sports. These things happen. You can't let it affect you, though. You got to have that level-headed mindset. You got to be even-keeled. You got to be cool as a cucumber. It's unacceptable when that kind of stuff happens, because after that first quarter, the Knicks were up 11 points. And then in the second, when things started to go awry, when the officials started to favor the Celtics a little bit, the Celtics took advantage. They zapped the Knicks' momentum and they turned it into a run of their own. They outscored the Knicks by 17 in the second quarter to take a 6-point lead into the break. Just a complete switch up in momentum. And it's on no one but the Knicks. I mean, the rotations were off. I don't like Jalen Brunson and Tyler Kolek sharing the court together. A, there's not enough size, but B, there's not enough defense. If you're going to go two small guards, Deuce has to be one of them. He just provides that element of grit and defense that neither Brunson or Kolek can. They're just not quick enough. And I get both of them are trying out there. I don't think any of them are lazy defenders. I just don't think they're able-bodied defenders, especially when you're going up against guys like Peyton Pritchard and Derek White, these quick guys that have limitless range. In Pritchard's case, I know White can shoot the ball, but he's not really a known three-point shooter. He's more going to beat you off the bounce. He's going to kick the ball out. The Knicks don't have an answer for that when you have two slow, small guards. That's like the ultimate combo of not what you're looking for in guards. That's just not something that you can have if you're the Knicks. So that's a minor thing that can get switched out. Mike Brown is still in this phase of trying different things. Listen, it's still only December 4th. They have time. I said I was going to give them to the new year, and they looked really solid at points in this year. And I assume that those will be the rotations, those will be the lineups, those will be the splits, those will be the sets that Mike Brown is calling come May. You've got to try things. You've got to experiment. At the end of the day, this is the first year with a new head coach. This is the first real season with this group of guys. I mean, last year, Karl Anthony Towns was traded the day before training camp. I don't even know if he made it to Knicks training camp. Mitchell Robinson, who was such a pivotal piece of this team in the postseason, didn't play last year until March. And on top of all that, you have a brand new head coach. So you got to give it time. But there's no denying that this team has its issues. And getting to another one right now, Mitchell Robinson's free throws. I know this is obvious. I know this is talked about ad nauseum, but it's unacceptable, man. He's shooting 17% from the free throw line this season. 17. He was 1 for 4 in this game, and this is the first time we've seen this year, but the Celtics were fouling him immediately. They were going to hack a Mitch under 2 minutes in the first quarter, and it was working. They fouled him twice. He only made 1 free throw, and it was the first one he took. Whatever the Celtics were doing worked. And if I learned anything about these leagues, it's that they are copycat leagues. The NFL is the biggest culprit of this, but the NBA has done it as well. If one team sees something's working, the next team is going to do the exact same. The hack of Mitch was definitely on the table in the postseason. The Celtics did it quite a bit. Really, everyone was doing it. I think the Celtics were the biggest culprits of it, though. And now they're bringing it in the regular season. I think it's a little egregious. However, I think it was one of the main factors in shifting the momentum of this game. On top of the Knicks being out of their minds about a couple missed calls on fouls, the Celtics completely slowing the pace down and letting themselves catch their breath really altered how this game was going. Because the Knicks were running in transition. They were getting stops on defense. They were forcing turnovers when the Celtics were playing sloppy basketball. But when Boston got a chance to reset, and when they were able to set up their offense, when they were able to get out of defensive possessions by sending Mitch to the free throw line, they were able to take advantage. The Knicks were up 14 at one point in this game. I don't remember if it was in the first or second quarter, but I'm going to assume that it was in the first. Because before the clock hit 2 minutes, the Knicks were running all over the Celtics. It looked like it was Game 6 of the Eastern Conference semifinals again, where the Knicks beat the Celtics by 40 points or so. But Mazzulla, such a crafty head coach. He's a guy that you don't. He'll make those unorthodox moves. That's something he's become known for in this league. He's not afraid to try something. And that's what he did here. Albeit it's not the craziest limb to go out on. All right, we're going to do the hack of Mitch, even though it's the regular season. But it was something that he did, and it worked. And once you get to the playoffs, this is the second time I'm mentioning this episode, it's not acceptable. Mitchell Robinson quickly becomes unplayable despite his rebounding prowess because he is unable to make a free throw. That kind of stuff you can't play. You can't deal with it. Unless he's starting and you're not playing him down the stretch of the fourth quarter, but I believe that the Knicks need him in those clutch situations because of the rebounding that he provides. The real loss here, and there's nothing the Knicks could have done about it, was Isaiah Hartenstein, because he's a guy that was able to corral those rebounds, not at the same level as Mitch, but still a solid amount, and he can also knock shots down from the line. It's a shame that the Knicks didn't have the money to retain him, but it is what it is. He's already in his second season out in OKC. And right now, I don't think anybody is beating OKC. I don't care who makes it to the NBA Finals from the Eastern Conference. I can almost guarantee that the Thunder will be waiting for them if they are not injured, and the Thunder will easily win their second straight NBA championship. But hey, it's December 4th. The Thunder were 20-1 the last time I checked. Let's see. What are they right now? The Thunder 21-1. So it just gets better, and they're set up with the draft picks. The Clippers are not very good. I mean, they're beating good teams too. That's the tough thing about it. Like, They're beating the Rockets, and they're beating the Lakers, the Warriors, the Timberwolves. They're beating the premier teams in the NBA. It's not like they have a cupcake schedule. But going back to what I was going to say about the Clippers, either Chris Paul asked to be sent home, or the Clippers had one of the all-time jerk moves in NBA history. Chris Paul was undoubtedly one of the best players, if not the best player, in your franchise's poor history. That man just announced his retirement. He's in his farewell tour, and you're going to send him home? It's not like the Clippers are winning anything anyway. If that's a team that's vying for first, second place in the Western Conference in the NBA, okay, you need guys at every single spot on the roster that are going to contribute. But this Clippers aren't that good. If you look at the standings right now, the Clips are out of a play-in spot. They're at 6-16, 15 games back of first place, and 6 games back of a playoff spot. They're not going to do anything. Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are both well past their primes. Obviously, Chris Paul isn't going to be what he once was, but you got to respect what he's done for your franchise. You have to let him play out this season. It's a formality. It's a sign of respect. And unless Chris Paul asked to be sent home so he can go play somewhere on a competing team, maybe the Thunder, maybe the Pistons, maybe your New York Knicks. I don't know who it is, but it's just a terrible move. So disrespectful, ungrateful of what he did for your franchise. Those years with Lob City were some of the best the Clippers ever experienced. And the guy that was at the helm of that is Chris Paul. In many ways, he was the quarterback, the leader of that team. And you're going to say, you're old, you're not providing much to us anymore, we're going to show you the door. It's not right. It's unbelievable. Steve Ballmer is all about the fans. He's all about the team. I'm surprised he would do something like this. I'm surprised he wouldn't veto the decision to be done with Chris Paul. But it is what it is. And getting back to the New York Knicks and getting into the Giannis Antetokounmpo rumors. There are 2 ways this happens if you are the Knicks. You trade away Karl Anthony Towns, or you trade away Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges has had an incredible bounce back year. He's working on a very good season right now, and I think a lot of that was getting rid of Tom Thibodeau and hiring an offensive-minded head coach in Mike Brown. Mikal's shooting splits have gone up. Mikal's defensive intensity is always there, but the results are now coming at a higher rate. Mikal Bridges is having such a good season as the third option on this team, because with OG Anunoby out, and really even with OG Anunoby on the court, Mikal Bridges is the third option to the New York Knicks offense. And that's the other thing. I highly, highly doubt that the Knicks will part ways with OG Anunoby. I just think he means more to New York and to this franchise than Mikal Bridges does. I get it. Bridges has more offensive upside, but if you talk about a guy who's going to match up with anyone and be successful against anyone, I'm taking OG Anunoby over Mikal Bridges. I think he's had more success over the past 2 seasons, the years that Mikal has been in New York. And I get it. Mikal has also been really good. But nobody is rivaling the level of defense that OG Anunoby can bring to the table. Nobody can rival it. If Victor Wembanyama wasn't in the league and it wasn't a center biased award, OG Anunoby would 100% be the defensive player of the year. And if he hadn't missed the last 3 weeks, but that's besides the point. Even with big men included, I think OG Anunoby should be in contention for the DPOY. Wemby's just a freak of nature. He's going to win it regardless of what defensive specimen are on the other side of the court. But all that is to say that Giannis will not be traded in exchange of either Jalen Brunson or OG Anunoby. Addressing Jalen Brunson, that is your captain, that is your leader, that is your offense. He is everything to the New York Knicks. He took them from a team that was not consistently making the playoffs to one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference. You can't part ways with that guy for Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is a three-point shooting league. Jalen Brunson brings that offensive attack, and I know he's not known for his three-point shooting necessarily, but he sure brings more three-point ability than Giannis Antetokounmpo can. He plays with smarts more than Giannis can. I would not be opposed to bringing Giannis to the Knicks, but the two guys you got to do it for are either Karl-Anthony Towns or Mikal Bridges. And both of those guys are on huge contracts, as is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I doubt the Bucks are going to want to take on as big of a contract as Mikal has or as Cat has for a lesser player. You're probably going to have to bring in a third team to take on the salary and a pick. So the Knicks would send off, let's use Karl-Anthony Towns in this equation. They would send Cat to the Bucks. The Knicks would get Giannis, and the Knicks would send a lot of Cat's contract and a first-round pick. So let's just say the Wizards. Really, any team that's rebuilding, that needs a real reset. You're on essentially in that spot. You're buying a draft pick. So whatever, any team that's looking to reset. That's how the Knicks accumulated all those picks that they used for Mikal Bridges. They took on bad contracts, and they said, we're going to play the long game here. That's really the way you rebuild. And the Knicks have a chance to give to one of those teams right now. I don't know what first round pick they're going to give exactly. I know they have the Wizards first. I think it's top 3. It's either top 3 or top 10 protected for this year. But if it's not this season, they'll get it in the 2027 draft. So the following season. But that's just the logistics aspect of it. You're probably going to have to bring in a third team. And the only way you do it is by moving off of Cat or Mikal. The other aspect of it is Giannis clearly wants out of Milwaukee. I don't know if that injury that he sustained was real. I don't want to be speculating. I don't want to say that he was faking an injury, because if it turns into something real, that's a bad look. But he doesn't want to be there. He's out for 2 to 4 weeks now. The Bucks posted a stat on Twitter today saying he has a 63.9 field goal percentage this year. It is the highest of his career. To me, that seems like they're advertising Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think both sides of the equation don't want to be with each other. I think it's going to be a mutual divorce. And the Knicks have a chance to be in the mix. I mean, if I'm looking at the landscape of the NBA, I don't know what teams are going to want to be in on a guy like Giannis. And just thinking about the roster construction right now, I'm not in love with how this team is built. I like Jalen, Mikal, OG. You get your point guard and you have your wings. I'm not a huge fan of Cat. He's soft to me. That yes, there are times where he can turn it on. But right now, and a lot of the times in the playoff last year, he just didn't have it. He didn't want it enough. I mean, a lot of Julius Randle, and I hate to go back to Randle, but you have to look at it that way because those are the guys that were swapped. Randle was all grit. He would back you down. He didn't care if he was dribbling too much. He didn't care if the shot clock was about to expire. He wasn't going to settle for a weak three-point attempt. He wasn't going to settle for a weak layup. He was going to go up strong for everything. And Karl-Anthony Towns just doesn't have that dog in him where Giannis clearly does. They don't call him the Greek freak for nothing. And I think he could slot in well for the Knicks. The only problem is that he doesn't have that three-point shot. And like I mentioned before, this is a three-point shooting league. One of the main reasons I will never take the Cavs, this iteration of the Cavs seriously in the playoffs, is because their big man can't shoot. I mean, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen can put the ball in the net from long distance a minuscule amount, and I just don't think that's going to play come postseason. There's a reason they're knocked out in the first or second round each and every season. And it's not because they're not good enough. It's because their bigs don't have the skill set of the current NBA. And that's the one major point I'll make as to why not to trade for Giannis. But I think there is a good case that you can make to add him to this Knicks squad. All right, that's going to do it for the episode. If you enjoyed, please consider following, subscribing, liking, sharing it with a friend, commenting. I really appreciate all of it. Also, check out my links. The links to my socials, they're linked in the description below. You can also leave a voicemail with your sports questions or takes by dialing the number 848-305-8073. Again, that's 848-305-8073. And last but not least, make sure you keep it locked with the Sports Pod.